Hi, welcome to the Guitar Department. And welcome back to the Guitar Department. Again, I'm your host, Joe Alton, and today, on a very special episode of the Guitar Department, I have Dirk Newton sitting here with me.
Thank you.
And we're going to play a little show and tell. So that last jam we just did, I was rocking out with an Epiphone Mandibird, and this is actually, I stole this from Doc Fordyce. I borrowed it with permission, by the way. Don't steal instruments, that's awful. He loaned it to me to do a musical theater piece. We're going to talk like 3 years ago at this point, and I just have not given it back. Doc, you need to call me. This thing is amazing. It's got a P-bass pickup in it, and otherwise it's just a solid body electric mandolin with the 8 strings, and man, does it sound really good, huh?
It does. It sounds awesome.
What were you playing there? You've got a Gretsch.
I've got actually, it's a Gretsch Brian Setzer. I'm not Brian Setzer, so it took me about 3 months, and I scraped off every semblance of Brian Setzer. So, just out of respect for him.
Just so you don't want to sully his name, right?
So, the only thing left is an S for Setzer on the inside.
Gotcha.
It is a gift. A buddy of mine passed away, and I never thought that I would play rock and roll on this thing, but it's, you listen to the 60s, and it's a lot better lead guitar than you can imagine. It has a sound post like a violin. There's 2 types of bracings in a Gretsch. You got a trestle, which is like a bridge on the inside, or you have a sound post like a violin. This has sound posts, and that was, every year, Gretsch changed everything.
So that's a fully hollow body then?
It's fully hollow body. It's also thicker.
Yes.
So they thinned them out in the 60s, and they also closed up. If you see them, they have painted on sound holes.
Oh, the F-holes?
Yep, in the 60s.
Okay,
when
sure.
Because we were getting progressively louder with rock and roll, so they also made a few different schemes as far as tone controls.
Yeah, you got knobs and switches.
Oh, you got lots of knobs. It's like, this is Cuisinart, this is Puree, this one is Tumble Dry, and not really. Yeah, actually you can. This is Radio Free Mexico. This is called a tone, a mud switch. So if you listen to it,
that thing sounds great.
So, but you have no control over it other than that, so it stays there. If you hear stuff, you've heard Gretsch guitars since time immemorial. If you listen to a bunch of old Tom Petty, you'll hear it, but great guitars.
Give us a lick on that thing.
Bigsby vibrato. Yeah, so you got your Tom Petty stuff that you can hear it. You can hear it all through the 60s. Duane Eddy, Chet Atkins, and stuff like that.
Yep. Tell me about your amp too. Look at this thing.
The amplifier is a 1954 Fender Super Amp. Leo Fender never played a guitar in his life, and he designed these amplifiers and went for fidelity. Also, he loves steel guitar. This was his favorite amplifier for Telecasters and steel guitars. It's 2 10-inch speakers. Believe it or not, it's 22 watts, and it'll rip your head off.
It is very loud.
I can get fired in any room. Well, not because of the loudness. But
you say that's you're known for that anyway, though, right?
Yeah, I am. Actually, there's deafness on the edge of town. So it's been my partner. I drug it out of a guy's basement that it was his dad's, and he said, "What are you going to do with it if you buy it from me?" He had his dad's 57 Telecaster, and I said, I'm going to play it until it dies or I die. So I took it. It didn't have a fuse in it, and I put a fuse in it, and it worked after 35, 40 years. So 1954 was the first year of going from metal tubes to glass tubes, which metal tubes were very microphonic and would pick up radio stations and stuff like that. This thing's dead quiet, so
it is. You can tell it's very loud, but there's no.
It's on two right now.
Yeah.
So it's just been a good partner. So
yeah. So
you're going with the mini stuff today, aren't you?
I brought. I'm trying to compete with Dirk Newton and his collection.
Dirk Newton's big guitar.
And so, by the way, you've only brought a few things here today. I've maxed out my stuff. I haven't brought everything I have.
You go right ahead, man.
But what I've got here is this is the Sojing Silent Uke, and it's designed so that you can practice ukulele and not wake your kids up, which I found very useful when practicing late at night. You can really like dig in and rock out. But it's also got a headphone jack. I don't know how well you can see this, but right here we've got a headphone jack, and we've got a volume and a tone knob for when you have headphones plugged in, and in the back we've got a spot for a 9-volt battery, and underneath this is a piezo pickup. So then it plugs in with the guitar cord down at the bottom, and you can plug it directly into the amp. I've got it turned down right now so you can get the impression of what it's actually like, but when you turn this up a little bit, flip on my Bogner Harlow here, give it a little extra pop. Turn that down just a hair. You can hear it's got a little bit of crunch to that too, but what really sold me on it is when you take a piezo pickup and you run it without a preamp into an electric guitar amplifier, it just sounds terrible. This is true with anything. If you take an acoustic electric guitar and just run it into an acoustic or an electric amplifier, especially if you add distortion, it just doesn't sound very good. So when I turned on the distortion, this is going to be loud again, isn't it? It just sounds incredible to me. Good tone. And it's in a low G tuning.
What this illustrates is something that I didn't grasp until I got a lot older and got around exposed to stuff from younger people, and that is that the rules are there aren't any rules. You plug a ukulele into a distortion box, and you got your own voice. You've got your own style. You can do whatever you want. You know, that's the cool thing about it.
And here's what really struck me. I picked it up and I started playing it, and it brought big smiles to my face. A smile machine, right? But the tuning is G, C, E, A, just like a standard ukulele, but with a low G.
Yep.
Those are the 1st through 4th strings of your guitar on the 5th fret.
Okay, that's like a baritone.
If you just barred your 5th fret and played your bottom 4 strings, you get those 4 notes. So then the question is, if this is the equivalent of the 5th fret on the guitar, how high can we go? And this is, I believe, the equivalent of like a 24th fret. So we've got 12, 15, 17, 19 would be 20, and then it starts at what would be 5, so it would be like the 25th fret. I have a guitar that has 24 frets on it, so I get one note that I can't play on the guitar.
There you go.
Otherwise, this thing is just a smaller guitar.
You know what they say, don't you? There's no money past the 8th fret.
That's true.
No, actually there is, and 21 frets on a Fender, 22 frets on a Gibson, 24 frets.
Yeah, exactly.
Or equivalent thereof.
Yeah, this 25.
Cool. 25? It's no fair. You didn't tell me you were going to bring a 25 fret instrument.
Well, that's the thing, is I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I brought a 20 fret instrument that starts at a much higher range.
It even sounds good with no distortion or anything like that.
What are you playing now?
This is something that I don't normally buy. Yes, I do. I buy $199 guitars, or thereof.
That's a $199 guitar?
This is $199.
And what year did you pay $199
I just
for?
got this about 2 months ago.
Okay.
It is a copy of there was a company called H.S. Anderson, and it was a company that started out actually, and they made these guitars, and then they got bought out by Hohner.
Okay.
Hohner made
I've had a
these, and they
Hohner.
were called the Bad Cat or something like that. You'll notice that if you take that right there, Prince made his bones on one of these. And the thing is that back then, they were a $100 guitar. You'd walk into a pawn shop and find it, but they
And of
are.
course, Prince was playing an actual Telecaster.
Actually, no, it's a Hohner.
He was playing a Hohner.
He's
a
playing
copy.
one of the vintage ones of these.
Okay.
And this is a copy, and this is kind of what you're dealing with now, where the quality of this guitar is just mind-numbing. Sealed die-cast tuners, what we call hot dogs frets. And
Like
if you
jumbo
feel
frets?
that, he'll testify to this. The frets are rounded over like a hot dog.
Oh yeah, they are. They're sort of circular.
And it's one of the best playing guitars that I've got. So, kiss. So, the thing is that if you're old like me, and you hang around younger people, you're going to learn something, and that is, just don't put your money all in one basket, man. Stuff out there like this that doesn't cost a lot of money. I'm seeing bands now that are so talented, that are so good, and they don't care what they play. They really don't. And
Jack
I'm a
White.
vintage guy.
Jack White only played pawn shop
Yep.
guitars for the longest time.
Jack White had I have a good example of that over here, but Jack White played a Airline.
Yeah.
Airline was Montgomery Ward's. Silvertone was Sears.
Yep.
K Craft was K Guitars. So you had all these you bought a guitar through a mail order catalog. Back in the day, you know, you got amps and cases. You open it up, and that's Sears Silvertone. I have a guitar over here. I'll illustrate a little bit later, and it was $59 in 1959, and for $29 more, you could get an amplifier with it, and you were ready to go. I mean, it started, guys my age, it started us off in rock and roll.
Let's hear that. How do you feel about the Kia C?
Kia C.
Kia C.
Yep. I can play just as badly in that.
C major.
G.
So we got C, G.
See, that's the thing. That's the joy of music. Something like a rock and roll ukulele. So, Joe wrote a song called "Let's Talk Dirty" in Hawaiian. Actually, that's a John Prine song. So.
Yeah, that sounds like a John Prine song.
Muki muki woo. So.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with 2 more guitars.
Awesome. Having a great time.
Awesome. So, let's start over here. What are you playing now?
This is a 1959, 58, 59 Silvertone model 1304. They always went by model. Sears Silvertone wish book catalog, which you got at close to winter, close to Christmas. Kids went through there, marked off what they wanted.
So this was from the Sears catalog.
Yep.
So
Sears catalog.
For those of you under a certain age, the Sears catalog was like Amazon, but in print.
Yep.
It was basically everything you could possibly find. Big department store, but it was a book like this thick, and you'd flip through, and you know, it's
houses.
Houses.
You could order houses.
You could order a house.
Yep.
And it's, I mean, there was everything from like toys to lingerie to it was everything they sold in one store, but it was a physical copy. So, and they sold Silvertone guitar. That thing sounds amazing, man.
This is made out of Masonite particle board, which is one step up. It's a better grade of cardboard.
I was going to say it's like sheetrock.
The pickup is lipstick tube pickup. So they figured out how to make. Nathan Daniels started the company, and he started making amplifiers for Epiphone, Sears, and he just figured out how to do it, and really cheaply and really well. I don't know how they made a guitar like this for, and I think these started out maybe at $59, and then you could order an amplifier. I know that they blew these out towards the end of the run because they'd retire the models, and they were $79 for an amplifier.
And what year was that?
These ran from 1958 to 1962.
So that's still like $15,000 in today's money.
It is. It's a lot of money.
It's not that much, but it's a lot of money.
Just
yeah. So
order one. You know, you could you write to Sears or call Sears. They had operators standing by.
Yep. Yes,
so
they did.
just like Joe, operators are standing by. So it's a cool thing. You can get amplifiers. Jack White, Dan Auerbach uses Silvertone amplifiers. To this day, this stuff is still living.
They don't make it like they used to.
So 1484 is the model number of the amplifiers that those guys use. So
Excellent.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's a really nice
Eddie
guitar.
Van, nice little tie-in.
No, take it away.
Eddie Van Halen, if you look at pictures of him in the recording studio, you'll notice that same headstock. What he'd do is he'd take the guitar, these, I suck at this stuff, but flat radius. It really accommodates tapping. So he figured out that these necks worked in conjunction with the style that he was developing. So
That's really
I'm
cool.
not saying that it depended on that. He would have found his way anyway.
And it's got is that a metal nut and then a wooden bridge?
Aluminum nut, a hunk of rosewood, radio knobs. Whoever owned this was DUB. I call it Little Dub, and it's dinky. It's actually 3/4 size.
It is very
That's
small.
why I like it. I got a itsy bitsy fingers.
It just sounds incredible. So matching that, I have, it doesn't match that, but
oh no.
this is an Alvarez, I'm not even going to attempt to read that model number, but this is an 8-string baritone. So let me unpack that for a second. We've got 8 strings, but it plays like a 6-string. So the tuning is B, E, A, D, F, I believe, and then B.
Yep.
And so it plays just like a 6-string. I think of this as a G chord, but it's actually a D chord. And then like this, I think is a C chord, but it's actually an F chord. Or excuse me, it's actually a G chord.
Yep.
And then, so my 3rd and 4th strings are actually doubled. You can see down here we've got 8 bridge pins, and up here we've got 8 tuning knobs. That's because these 2 strings are tuned like a 12-string in octaves. And so when you strum it, you get the benefits of that booming low end, but with the benefits of a high end from those middle 2 strings. Your highest note is actually the octave of that D. So it just sounds really good, and it matches that thing really well. That had a beautiful tone playing over top of it.
It's amazing. They went to the NAMM show, and these pickups these actually came out in 1954, and what they did was they wrapped it, encased it in this quiet. They were the only ones at NAMM that could walk up to lights,
Ooh.
fluorescent lights, and go like that, and it wouldn't give you 60 cycle hum.
Right.
So, you know, stuff was out there, but you just had to know, you know, who would think to look for
Yeah, the
a
pickup
guitar
cover.
with Revlon lipstick tube ticket.
And then, of course, so this, we just got done talking about how a piezo pickup doesn't sound good plugged directly into an electric
It's
amp.
come a
And
long way.
Here we are with the Stage Pro Element, looks like, I can't read that, LR Boggs maybe. But man, it just sounds fantastic.
It's fabulous.
My wife bought this for me.
That's cool. She's a keeper.
That's how you
She's
know
a
you
keeper.
married the right girl, right?
Guitars come and go. No, actually.
we got to take one more break. We're going to come back with 2 more guitars, and or with 1 more guitar, excuse me.
Okay.
And then we're going to finish out. So would you play a 12-bar blues with me at the end?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right.
Maybe I can talk about a couple of pedals too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
all right.
We'll be right back.
Awesome, Joe.
Well, thank you for tuning in to the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to send out a big thank you to Dirk Newton for being here. Dirk,
Thank you for letting me babble.
thank you so much for bringing some of your collection out. We're going to do a rig rundown. We're going to put it on the web for everybody to watch. So if you're watching this online, you already know this stuff.
It'll be the only truthful thing on the web.
I also want to thank our camera operator, Aiden, our engineer up top, we've got Matthew, and our producer, Jackson, up there. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department, and our Instagram page at guitar_department. And with that, you ready to play us out?
Yep.